recreational and in between a toy. That's a toy drone. That there is almost the trouble. The main feature of most people crashing happens to be using it in an unsensible place and not understanding that a toy drone doesn't have much power. Until you have something like the power and the abilities and the battery power of one of these. This is a tarantula. It's, like I said, it's a third generation drone. Once you have the power of something like a tarantula there, which is twice the size of a toy drone, it's not a mini drone. A mini drone is about a quarter of the size, even a tenth of the size of a toy drone. Then you have the power to fight light wind. This one will in fact fight light wind very easily. This one fights light wind as long as you only go up into it for about 3 to 5 minutes with a full battery. And that's another feature of losing control. The power supplied to your quadcopter comes from one of these batteries. The last half of the power in the battery isn't very good. It should be used for bringing the drone back and landing it. So they say the whole flight can last, say, 8 minutes. I'd say about 5 minutes from that. So 2.5 minutes of flight, maybe 3 minutes of flight, the other 2 minutes to bring it back to fight any wind coming back, so that you could put that down near you. But that's the main reason people lose control. They don't know some of these features. You're going to spend hundreds of dollars just to fly a drone and lose control, such as a toy drone. If you ever take a toy drone outside, they're not much good. You need one a bit like these. And the third generation came along in late 2015, these bigger ones, with particular reference to the tarantula again there. And those were half the price, or about the same price of what that was at the beginning of 2015. So that's about $250. And with the FPV, that one there was about $250 without any FPV, but with a camera and one battery. Right, that there, believe it or not, I got these half price, any one of them half price. That was about $160. That was just under 200. That was over 200, but was with extra batteries. I've got extra batteries in there. That was a different deal. Right, these two don't have FPV. The toy one does. The toy one I wanted to fly up and down trees to see if I could find stingless bees and other bees that were nesting inside the trees that go up 40 metres, some of the very tall trees around in rural areas and forests. Now, with this sort of feature, unfortunately, it turns out that if you want to give your child a drone to fly it outside, don't give them one of these. These at least now are much cheaper and much better and much more responsive. The only thing you will need to understand is you get 3 minutes of safe flight if there's any form of light wind or light breezes around. That's what the trouble happens to be. Understand that no throwaway batteries, including lithium, will ever do for a controller, because it chews too much. You must have three of these types of rechargers, so that they seat 2 AA batteries each, so that you can put 6 batteries in there with 3000 milliampere hour. That's 3 ampere hour 1.5 volt batteries, just like these sorts of things. That does for a point that it's 1.5 volt. No one tells you these things, so everyone that's been creating the statistics has been going out with these throwaway batteries, and it's been out of control after the first time. They did not tell you that only half the period of time is safe for flight of any drone, because it has enough power to drive its props to fight wind or breeze. But these are so lightweight, these standard smaller drones, that they're no good for outside. They really must be a heavier one like this tarantula that's double the size. That there is about 1 foot across, from at least 1 foot across from the central point of the propeller to the next central point of the propeller. That's only about 15, 18 centimetres across in the small toy drone, which is a standard sort of drone to buy. It's not a nano drone or a mini drone. It's just a drone, just a toy drone. That's about 15 to 18 centimetres across there, from the midpoint of the axis of the prop to the next axis of the prop. it's no good. It's too lightweight. It can't fight a light breeze, particularly when the battery power has been half used. So that's only got about 2.5, 3 minutes worth of flight. That's only got about 3 or 4 minutes worth of flight. That's only got about 3 or 4 minutes worth of flight in which it can fight mild wind, very light wind, not a breeze. A heavy breeze or light wind, these two can fight. And they're about 30 centimetres from one tip to the other, or maybe 25 from the central axis of the prop to the other one. Now, that being the final trouble with these legislators, it all came from loss of control. That there is loss of control. That one you can at least give it to your kid. You can at least find them on special in AliExpress or eBay, and that will severely reduce the level of loss of control if you understand about the batteries being a very, very heavy feature of these, not merely the weight of the aircraft, needing to be more than a toy drone. That's what happened to us all. We had all of these problems. There are sensible places to fly these things and not sensible places, but these large any drones have been banned from plenty of public parks. One of the greatest problems in public parks, of course, is other people. Animals can run and jump on these sorts of things. I've got a dog in there and he's inside right now. He's a very large guy. If he stepped on any of them, I'm not sure he didn't do that one there. If he stepped on any of these, he'd break it. That's the end of that. Any of them, even a small Shih Tzu or something, could just basically wreck one of these. So you need to lock your animals up while you're using it. Like I say, don't forget that these things here require adapters, but the main adapter to get is a European adapter. Those are round pins on the charger that you get sent. They either send the European ones or they send what would be British on those. And the British one is just 2 uprights, and the Australian system isn't an angle, but it always comes in with some sort of adapter. The final point behind all of this is that these things need one more feature about the person who flies it. There are things called children, there are things called adults. So if your child is under 16 years of age, sure, give him one of these more powerful ones, but you'll have to supervise anyway. There's no such thing as something below the age of 16 that will necessarily at any one moment be responsible. That means that they will take into account all of the things they should or should not do, have any great judgment of whether anything's dangerous or not. And the final feature of that point too is that when you use these things, you can reasonably figure not to get them near aircraft, helicopters, other drones, other people, animals, electricity wires, and things that can be a danger. Things that can cause accidents, such as not flying them over roadways, not unless you're out in a rural property and you can clearly understand that there's nothing between here and there, and that's that. They're not going to reach that in a hurry. And that if a car comes along, it's no good throwing yourself in front of it because there's dust and wind blowing around. You'll just have to lose it if something goes over the top of it before everything becomes a mess. The final point in all of it is that that is all the legislators thought of. This thing crashes. Loss of control is up to the person flying it. There are ways of understanding these things won't be out of control, such as understanding whether they can handle the environment they're in. Because they're more of an outdoor machine, these are too light. No one explained that. No one explained that you are better off buying from eBay or AliExpress a large wad of 3000 milliampere hour, that's 3 ampere hour, 1.5 volt AA batteries for the controllers, and some chargers. 3 chargers, that's just over $30. And that sometimes comes with batteries. It depends on the deal you get when you look on eBay or AliExpress. The batteries generally are given as a deal, at least one battery with the device. It's better to get a deal where you get 3 or 4 batteries. And you get a charger too. And to understand, you might need an adapter for the charger, and you will tell them what sort of pin. That's a European pin, that round one. They're easy to find an adapter for in a supermarket that will adapt to whatever version you require to plug in. These you're supposed to specify on eBay what sort of adapter, because that's the adapter for the charger. So you need at least 3 chargers, because a controller normally has 6 batteries. The final point, as I've said again, is the person controlling it. The person controlling it should learn to fly it. There is a little problem with these, that they have a normal, reasonably standard control set. This here is your throttle. It's on the left hand side usually. When you start the binding, you'll hear that sort of a noise, and it'll stop. Then you push, before you get it to work, you push the throttle full forward, nothing should happen. When you bring it back, that should beep. The beep means that it binds. You didn't get a beep that time because it's not switched on. The top left hand is usually your video camera button. The circuit boards inside these have various appliance attachments. Whether there's a camera, it's just a clip. You see the wire going in and out there. Whoops, down here. See the wire going in and out. That goes up to the circuit board, and it just has a connector, and there are various abbreviations on the circuit board that tell you what system that's hooked up to. These are all hooked up to a camera. The main thing to do though with these controls is learn to fly them, and that of course requires an open space, and that also